I thank you all for being here this evening. It's hopefully we can get a seat for everybody, and I thank you again for your presence, and then for the parents and boosters that help put this on. It's a special night. It's a great tradition. It's something that seems to grow and improve each and every year. And it was another great year for Ranger football. A lot of good times, a lot of great memories. Outstanding years really at all the levels, freshman, JV, varsity, but those things don't happen by accident. We're very fortunate to have the tremendous support here, not only with Michael Wall, our principal here at the high school, and all of his staff, but our athletic office with Leanna Tyler and our superintendent, Andrew Kim. We get support from the district itself, and then of course the parents and the community and the fans, the student section, all the things that make Friday night at Ranger Stadium the special thing that it is. So we don't take that for granted. I also don't take for granted the men that I have working with me that coach our players. I think I say this every year. My sons are grown now. In fact, one of them is on the staff. But part of the reason I have been at Smithson Valley for as long as I have is I wanted to make sure that my sons got an opportunity to play for some of these guys. I don't know if playing for me was any great joy for them, but playing for some of these men and who've been here so long, and I wanted them under their tutelage, and I'm proud of that. And of course, their wives that stand by them and do without them for great stretches of time, weekends, nights, throughout the whole year. So I want to introduce them, and we'll hold our applause until I'm through with all of them. But if they'll remain standing, they and their spouses, if they're here, and then we'll give them a round of applause when we're through. We'll start with my boss. My wife, Lori Hill, is here. We have our two athletic trainers here tonight. Brian Zettler and his wife Hope are here, and Rodney Murray, our two trainers. Working with our offensive line, we have Robert Touton, his wife Kathy, and Brian Hill and his wife Lauren. Working with our safeties is Doug Obrick, his wife Monica. Our defensive coordinator is Craig Westifer and his wife Sherry. Linebackers, working with our linebackers, Bryn Jones, new to our staff this year, and his wife Norma. Working with our defensive ends is Coach Haug, Chad Haug, his wife Jindy. Defensive tackles is Eshawn Risen, his wife Cherie. Working with our cornerbacks, longtime Smithson Valley coach Lane Bowman, his wife Monica. Our running back coach is Josh Samora, his wife Laura. Working with our fullbacks and tight ends, and offensive coordinator is Jeff Shin, his wife Beth. Wide receiver coach is Glenn Hill, his wife Allie. And working with our sub-varsity teams, our JV and freshman teams, Coach Chad Kell, his wife Michelle, Russell Dagey, his wife Delana, Colby Brooks and his wife Sherry, and also Coach James Cook. So if you give these men a round of applause, I'd appreciate that. I thank these guys, and I appreciate them so much. And a lot of us have worked together. There's, I guess, 3 of us that have worked together for 27 years, and one for 26 years, and others varying levels. And that kind of stability helps a program stay good and build a proud tradition. And these guys are as responsible for that as anything or anyone. We're going to start by introducing our teams. We're going to start with our sub-varsity team. So if our freshman group will begin making their way up, while they're doing that, I want to thank Beth Stone and Margot Williams, our parent reps for our freshman teams. They did a great job of getting, tremendous job of communicating with our parents and community and fans, organizing events, and just in general making communication from coaches to the parents much, much easier. And this is a great group. I'm going to let Coach B. Hill talk about them, but I'll tell you this, special group of young men who we are excited. It's not their time yet. Their time's coming. It's not yet, but it's coming, and when their time comes, you're going to hear a lot from them. So without speaking for him, and I'm going to introduce Coach Brian Hill, and he's going to visit about our freshman team. Coach?
All right, let's talk a little bit about our freshman team this year. It was an excellent season for the Ranger freshman team. The blue team finished with an 8-2 record. The white team finished with a 3-5-2 record. The blue team had great success over the perennial powers of our district, earning wins against Judson, Steele, and Clemens. The white team had many hard-fought games, and all but one of their games came down to the final possession. Okay, as we told our team throughout the year, there is no weeks off in this district. Okay, we play in one of, if not the toughest district in the state of Texas, and each and every week it was going to be a battle. And this freshman class not only took on that challenge, but they thrived in every game that we played. And there was never a doubt that this class upheld the Ranger tradition of playing with great discipline and maximum effort. So some programs feel as though sub-varsity football is not as important as what's going on the Friday night or the varsity, or they adopt the mentality that we'll really start coaching these guys up once they get to the varsity. Well, every one of these guys were taught by the position coach that they're going to have one day when they're juniors and seniors and they're on the varsity. Okay, we don't necessarily have sub-varsity coaches only. We work with our guys from freshmen all the way up until they're varsity. At Smithson Valley, we view freshman football as the foundation for winning championships. So we are very excited about this class. Cannot wait to get them into a full off season so they can continue to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And we cannot wait to get them into boot camp to sharpen their mental toughness and begin to see the leaders in this class begin to form and begin to grow as a unit. With this class, the future is bright for Ranger football because we know that we have them for the next upcoming 3 years. So for now, we're going to introduce these guys to you. We'll go about, when I call your name, just step forward and then step back. And then once this group is done, y'all head down, y'all line up here until everybody's done. Please hold your applause until the end to make it go a little bit quicker. Okay? First, number 2, linebacker, Isaiah Vivians. Number 3, cornerback, Braden Garrett. Number 4, wide receiver, Kyler Clark. Number 5, cornerback, wide receiver, Braden Bafidis. Number 6, D-line and tight end, Gavin Woods. Number 7, safety and fullback, David DeHoyos. Number 8, safety, Braden Harrington. Number 9, safety and quarterback, Ethan Gonzalez. Number 10, wide receiver, Jordan Hart. Number 11, quarterback, Chase Senelik. Number 12, quarterback, Troy Martinez. Number 13, safety, Isaiah Hackett. Number 14, tight end and D-line, Tyler Stone. Number 15, linebacker, Michael Mayhew. Number 16, wide receiver, Weston Ross. Step on down. Hey guys, slide on down. Come on, McLean. Yeah, come on. Stand right by me. There you go. All right. Number 17, tight end, Angel Aranaga. Number 18, wide receiver, Corey Coleman. Number 19, D-line, Jairo Aguado. Number 20, D-line and running back, Cale Williams. Number 21, wide receiver, quarterback, Colin Wise. Number 22, running back, Colson Heffington. Number 23, corner, Matthew Cravens. Number 24, running back, Victor Anyanaga. Sorry, Victor. Number 25, wide receiver, Carson Dykey. Number 26, corner, Thomas Elliott. Number 29, linebacker, Roberto Jimenez. Number 30, tight end, Andrew Kingdon. Number 32, fullback and running back, Lane Richard. Number 33, running back, Kurt Hammett. Number 34, wide receiver, Jacob Valadez. Number 36, wide receiver, Wiley Hodge. Number 37, linebacker, Damian Roberts. Number 38, safety, Elijah Salcedo Odell. Number 39, wide receiver, Christopher Stubbs. Number 41, fullback, Aiden Dade. Number 43, safety, John Sheppy. Number 44, D-line, Luke Flores. And number 45, D-line, McLean Garrett. Go all the way down. All right. Number 46, linebacker, Arthur Bro. Number 49, linebacker, Matthew Chavez. Number 50, O-line, Drew Abear. Number 51, offensive line, Sean Berry. Number 52, offensive line, Dylan Iden. Number 53, O-line, Elliot Reyes. Number 54, D-line, Devak Bakta. Number 55, D-line, Jordan Hill. Number 57, offensive line, Jackson Bolt. Number 58, offensive line, Noah Herring. Number 61, offensive line, Logan Almager. Number 62, offensive line, Mason Birch. Number 63, offensive line, Tristan Trable. Number 64, offensive line, Timothy Canaday. Number 67, offensive line, Scott Smith. Number 68, offensive line, Sean Roche. Number 70, D-line, Nathaniel Garza. Number 71, offensive line, Caden Kelly. Number 73, D-line, Joseph Gomez. Number 74, offensive line, Samuel Martinez. And number 76, offensive line, Devin Jordan. All right, and for our last group, we'll start off with number 77, linebacker, John Ramos. Number 78, offensive line, Garrett Blanchard. Number 79, defensive line, Josh Thomas. Number 80, safety, Hayden Balio. Number 81, corner, Connor Bogus. Number 82, safety, Jaden Ballou. Number 83, safety, Quentin Bedozy. Number 84, wide receiver, Javion Brown. Number 85, corner, Stephen Bragg. 86, wide receiver, Caden Leonard. Number 87, wide receiver and quarterback, Caleb Guerra. Number 88, corner, Paul Thorpe. Number 89, wide receiver, Zach Branch. Number 90, D-line, Trey Adams. Number 91, linebacker, Nolan Donovan. Number 92, D-line, Tegan Owsley. Number 94, fullback, Hunter Beatty. Number 95, fullback, Jaredon DePaulo Cordona. And 97, corner, Zachary Anderson. In closing, I'd like to say again, we would like to express how excited we are about this freshman class that we have. We're excited to get them into the offseason. We're excited to get them into boot camp. And we're excited for them to be coming back for the next 3 years. And we look for a bright future for this class. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Coach, and congratulations to our freshmen. And I'll echo his sentiments. It's a really talented class, and we're very excited about how much winning we're going to be able to do with these young men. And speaking of groups that know how to win, we'll introduce our JV at this time as they begin to make their way forward. Like we did with our freshmen, I'd like to thank our JV reps who keep our parents informed of game changes, moves, communication. This year that was Anita Schaefer and Shannon Hambrick. So I thank those ladies for their help on our team. Coach Chad Kell serves as our JV coach. As Coach Behill just said, most all of our coaches work with every team, but someone's the head coach, and Coach Kell has served in that role for a while. And of course, we played 2 teams that lost 1 game between them, so we're obviously excited about this group and what they can do to add to the team that we've got coming back. So I'm going to turn it over to Coach Kell at this time, and he'll introduce our 2 JV teams. Coach.
Good evening. Coach Hill's already mentioned it, but before I get started with the team, I'd just like to take a minute again to thank the Hambricks and the Schaefers for taking on the task of being our JV booster reps this year. We appreciate everything you've done and keeping everyone informed throughout the 2019 football season. As I bring the first group up, as they come up here, I'd just like to say how the coaching staff is extremely proud of the season this group of kids had this year. They won a lot of games, which we will highlight soon, but most importantly, they are fine young men who showed up every day just wanting to get better and make everyone around them better. They entered the maze, as we like to call it in the coach's office, and they never looked back. They worked hard each and every week to make their own team better, and when that time was over, they ran over to the game field to make that group in the back of the room better as that group was chasing their dream. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the 2019 JV football team. And as Coach Behill said, if you can kind of hold your applause until we introduce each group, it would help a lot. Braden Elder, defensive back. Ethan Baker, running back. Justin Barge, O-line. Chase Barker, linebacker. Brent Berry, receiver. Caden Baumgardner, defensive back. Will Blankenship, D-line. Taylor Boswell, receiver. Aiden Camacho, receiver. Noah Colazo, O-line. Stratton Davis, receiver. Jade Day, fullback. Brock DeBusk, linebacker. Dylan Domel, tight end. Tanner Donovan, defensive back. Okay, Wesley Dorman, O-lineman. Cole Douglas, D-line. Garrison Eggleston, defensive back. Antana Scala, tight end. Robert Estes, O-line. David Freeman, O-line. Nick Freeman, O-line. Ryan Goff, O-line. Joseph Gonzalez, quarterback. Aiden Green, defensive back. Tanner Hall, defensive back. Cade Hansen, defensive back. Wyatt Hansen, linebacker. Austin Hosier, kicker, receiver. Caden Jones, O-line. Okay, Kane Kirkpatrick, fullback. Ryan Longenbach, receiver. Derek Mata, quarterback. Travis McCracken, running back. Zach McDonald, receiver. Jack Mills, defensive back. Andrew Montalvo, defensive back. John Mole, defensive line. Calvin Ramsey, defensive back. Mark Rodriguez, defensive line. Colton Shepler, linebacker. Luke Schaefer, defensive line. Sam Cifuentes Schaefer, D-line. Selena Cifuentes Schaefer, fullback. Austin Smith, tight end. Skylar Soward, O-line. Kyle Stanzioni, receiver. All right, Brett Stoley, O-lineman. Drew Swain, defensive back. Michael Sampkin, O-line. Jordan Thompson, D-line. Eli Trawick, linebacker. Jonah Olbrich, kicker, receiver. Elijah Velasquez, receiver. Daniel Velasquez, linebacker. Austin Waltman, fullback. Brock Whitaker, D-line. Morgan Wetz, linebacker. Dallas Wilson, D-line. Kenneth Zamora, tight end. And Lance Zuber, defensive back. Just stay there, guys. The two teams standing up here. Guys, hold on. Don't take off. I'm not done. Just a second. The two teams standing up here combined to go 17-1-1 this season. The white team finished the season 8-1-1, while the blue team finished with a perfect season of 9-0 in district champs. And honestly, just at any level, to be able to do that, and to do that in this district is special. And it was fun to coach both of those groups. And the white team was right there. We wanted to go a perfect 20-0. We had a couple games get canceled. But the blue team game versus Steele was canceled only 3 minutes into the game due to lightning, with the score tied at 7. That Steele team also ended up the season 9-0. It would have been fun to be able to finish that game. But as Coach G. Hill has said in the coach's office several times, we got them on positive points. Another highlight to the JV season was seeing the two teams combine to go 4-0 against the Judson Rockets. The coaching staff is excited to have this group back for another 2 years and already seeing the gains they are making in all season. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2019 Smithson Valley JV football team.
Thank you, Coach, and congrats to our JV team. Like I said, we've got some outstanding players coming from our freshman and our JV team, and we look forward to coaching them as the years go on. Before we look at highlights and introduce our varsity team, we want to have our video crew, guys that film our practice, and our student trainers, if they'd start making their way forward. I want to talk about them for just a few minutes. Anyone who's familiar with our program knows that a lot goes on behind the scenes to make things flow smoothly on a daily basis. These two groups of committed students, they don't get interviewed. They don't get featured on Channel 4 at night when they come out to practice. They don't get recognized as much as the guys we'll introduce later. But they need to know, we need to know, y'all need to know how much we value their contribution to our program. And what they do is crucial to our team's success. So I'd like to introduce you to these young men and women now, if they'll come across. First, we're going to start with Jake May. Jake, as many of you know, was a Ranger player for 3 years, and an injury finally ended his career. Looked for ways to help our football team, and being in our program, he knew how important video in our practices were. If you've been to our practice, we've got drones flying around the field everywhere, and somebody's got to man those. I can't. All I do is see them looking down at their phones. I don't know what happens, but I know it flies in there and it films what we need. And thousands, and I don't say that to make a point, I'm being serious, thousands of plays are filmed throughout the course of the year, and then immediately coming off the field, our players are able to access that because it's immediately put into our video system, our computer system. Players get instant feedback on what they did good, what they did wrong, and let their coach them on what they just did maybe 5 minutes before. Well, none of that's possible without the contribution of Jake and some of the others that contributed in that area. So we thank you and we appreciate you. Jake May. I'm going to go next with our student trainers. Of course, our trainers have obviously mean a great deal to us. Mr. Zettler and Mr. Murray are two professional trainers, of course, on our staff, but the student trainers working underneath them are instrumental. The game of football, somebody's got an ankle, somebody's got a shoulder or got a quad or something virtually every day. When you've got about 275 young men playing football on a daily basis, there's going to be some of that. And you've got to have these behind-the-scenes folks. So I'm going to ask our freshmen to come onto the stage first. These are our first-year students, kind of akin to our sub-varsity, if you will. And I'll introduce them and have them step forward. If you'll hold your applause till I'm through with them, and then we'll give the whole group a round of applause. We'll start with our freshmen. Holly Waltman, Reagan Bolt, Layla Medina, Colleen Phillips, Kara McCrae, Blanton Sawyer, Kylie Hammond, Kylie West, Emma Durr, and Sebastian Baezo. Those are our first-year freshmen. Our sophomores, our three sophomores will come up. Or four, I guess it is, I'm sorry. 4 sophomores. One of our sophomores, or 2 of our sophomores, are new to our program, first year, just like the freshmen we introduced. Zoe Baram and Jordan Streitz. And then we have returning student trainers, second-year sophomores, Anna V. Ramos, Brianna Taylor, Emma Enderlin, and Hannah Wilson. Those are our sophomores. And finally, we'll bring up our juniors and seniors. Kind of our varsity level, if you will. Our first junior, or our junior, Sushi Bhakta She'll be our only senior next year. She's a returner, already exhibited a great deal of leadership to our younger trainers, and we appreciate her contributions. Of course, our seniors are a foundation of our sports medicine program. You can't have a good house without a good foundation, so we appreciate them. First, we have Curtis Parsons. He's been a trainer for all 4 years of high school. He's been with us for 4 years and plans to continue his education in sports medicine after graduation. And then our next senior is Kaylee Dietz. Kaylee also has been a student trainer for all 4 of her years here, and she aspires to continue her education in sports medicine at Texas State. So this is the largest number of student trainers, student athletic trainers we've had, and we thank them for all their hard work and all their time and effort in doing this job properly. Those are our student trainers. As our trainers move off the stage, before we introduce our varsity team, we're going to watch a short video of some highlights that Bo Wick of the Rangers Network put together. There'll be a longer, more full-feature highlight tape available to all our players and fans and community later in the spring. But this is just a snippet of it. Bo is not here tonight. Bo and Emily Wick, basically the Rangers Network. Emily had heart surgery actually yesterday and is okay but at home recovering. But they did come and put this together for us. It'd be a neat way to kind of get our juices going, get the season remembered, and then we'll when it's done, we'll introduce the varsity team. So with that being said, we'll dim the lights and look at some 2019 Ranger football.
could be a foot race. He's got one man to beat. He tackles him at the 40, the 30, the 20. He's gone.
Relay goes up into the nighttime sky here in Howard and pushes calls on the football.
Great job by Cullen Betsy on the coverage. Ritters takes the snap. Tries to get rid of it quick. He's got some pressure. He'll be sacked. And it's in the ball again. That's good. That's Trey Moore. He's got the ball. He's going to go the distance. And the Rangers escape the threat by the Unicorns on the sack strip by Trey Moore.
know Bo's not here, but I want to thank him for doing that. That takes a little work, but it's just a great way to kick off our evening. As I said, a more comprehensive highlight will be on sale and available through, and we'll kind of get that out on the network and through parent reps early in 2020. I'd like now to start with our varsity team. Before we do, I want to thank Laura O'Toole and Christina Zoig. Those are our varsity parent reps. You know, each year, our level of support and commitment from parents and the community as a whole seems to grow, and that's hard to do when the standard is so high. But I think we've extended it even higher this year, and I want to thank them. And the Camacho family, opened their homes for our team dinners this year, and I'd like for them to stand and be recognized. It's a very unselfish act, taking our players. I don't know, I've raised 2 boys, and having 2 teenagers at home about all I can handle. So having 73 of them over there on a weekly basis, just a tremendous sacrifice. And of course, our moms who restripe our helmets every Thursday, make sure we look good when we hit the field. That's taken on a life of its own, and I'm not sure if we're striping helmets or visiting, but a little bit of helmet striping's going on, I think. So I didn't know it took 3 hours, but we appreciate that, of course. And Bo and Emily, again, with the Rangers Network, what we have there is really unprecedented, and I think we had just our season opener alone had over 2,500 views. We have over 1,200 subscribers, and I think it's up to a little over 2 million minutes watched now. So it's a lot of people hitting on that, and not everybody has that, and that's a big kudos to the Wicks for doing that. This team was born about a year ago. In December or early January when the boot camp began in 2019. That's when this group decided, okay, we're going to do something special, and it was a special group of young men. My preacher told me something, this was a year or so ago. He says, you know what your goal in life ought to be, Larry? And I said, well, no. He says, to make me not have to lie about you at your funeral. And I said, well, okay, well said. I tell our players sometime, I'm going to tell the truth at the football banquet about you. I'm going to tell the truth. Now you're going to determine what the truth is. And this is a great group of young men. I'm extremely proud of this ball club. Kind of like I said a minute ago, when at a place where the bar is pretty high, to be classy, to be hardworking, to get along, to have good team chemistry, to do things right and be attentive to detail. It's hard to top other teams when some others have gone before you like that. But I told them when it ended, I'm not sure we've had one do it better. And it's a great group of young men. Played an extremely tough schedule and did not allow that to be an excuse not to excel. And they got along, which is hard to do. They put the team first, which is hard to do when we all have selfish ambition. They studied hard, they did it right, made it easy to come to work every day, and they placed winning above all else. They're great students. 77% of our team, 56 players total, were academic all-district. Our seniors are the only ones that are eligible for what they call academic all-state. That's a statewide honor. We had 15 of those this year. Most teams have anywhere from 2 to 4. We had 15. So, they just liked playing. They liked each other, and they were a joy to coach. I had a really good time coaching them this year. And so I'd like to introduce these guys to you one at a time and tell you about them. So Coach Touton and Coach B. Hill are up here with our offensive linemen, and we're gonna start with those guys. So if those guys will come aboard, and unlike our sub-varsity guys, we'll applaud each one when I'm finished. So yeah, go on across, guys. When I call their name, they'll step forward, and they'll just remain forward until I'm through talking about them. Kind of going numerical order in the roster here, so we'll be skipping around seniors, juniors, etc. But our first lineman is Devin Smith, senior, offensive tackle, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, first team academic all-state, second team all-district. He's a guy that started every game for us a year ago at center, and then he made the switch this year to play left tackle. He prepares very hard. He plays with great effort, always trying to find ways to improve his game. And he paid attention to detail, played with a high effort level, and made him one of the best around. And we look forward to seeing what lies ahead for him. Devin Smith. Next is Taylor Brooks, senior, center, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, second team academic all-state, honorable mention all-district on the field. He's also voted one of our captains. He was the glue that held our offensive line to a high standard as a unit, and he worked to make sure that he and his teammates were at their best each and every week. As the center, he had the responsibility of recognizing and identifying the defense and calling that out for each play, and he excelled in that role. He was essentially another coach on the field. He's a player that was never satisfied with his performance, so he was always striving to get better. We'll miss his leadership and his enthusiasm for the game. Taylor Brooks. Next is Braden Dornberg, junior, also a center, 1-year letterman. He's academic all-district. Braden battled some injuries early in the season and worked hard to overcome them and ended up being a valuable part of our offensive line. He's a high-energy player. He's a very detail-oriented player, and he's got the size and strength to go along with his knowledge of the game, his passion for the game, and we expect that he'll be an integral part of next year's offensive line because he is an all-in guy, and we look forward to seeing what he can do. Braden Dornberg. Next, Ryan Banquet, junior, offensive guard, 1-year letterman, honorable mention all-district player. He's someone made up his mind that he was going to really commit to the game of football, and he became one of the most valuable members of our offensive line. He's gifted with good size and strength, worked hard in using those abilities that he's blessed with to be his best every week. He's a whatever you need me to do guy, and we needed him to do a lot, and we're going to continue to need him to do a lot to get where we want to go. He'll be a dominant player next year. He'll be one of the best in the area, and we're glad we're getting him back. Ryan Banquet. Nathan Muchagamba, junior, offensive guard, 2nd-year letter. Nathan was first team all-district on the field. He showed that he can be a good player, one of the premier players, but the best part about him is he doesn't think that's good enough. He's always a young man. He's going to work really hard to be the absolute best he can be, and the fact that he's never satisfied drives him. He's got a love of the game and enthusiasm that sets him apart. He cares for people around him, and that just makes the whole offensive line better. And we expect him to take a big leadership role next year as a senior, and he will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. Nathan Muchagamba. Next is Brendan Salvaggio, junior, offensive tackle, 1st-year letterman, academic all-district. He's proven to be a very reliable player and capable of playing against some of the best opponents have to offer. Suffered an injury late in the year, but was an integral part of what we did up until that time. He's a student of the game, and he understands technique and being attentive to detail and what it'll take to excel. Very smart player at the right place at the right time, and he has gained the respect of his teammates and his coaches, and we look forward to having him back next year. Brandon Salvaggio. Next, Donnie Bell, senior, offensive tackle, 2nd-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention all-district on the field. He's a young man that worked very hard last offseason to earn himself a starting position in the offensive line. Though undersized, he started every game at right tackle and used his smarts, his strength, his athletic ability to play at a high level. And he, maybe as much as anybody, reflects what Ranger football is all about. Whether you look the part, are the part or not, you're going to be the part. And he definitely was. We're going to miss him, but we know he'll be successful in future endeavors, whatever he decides to do. Donnie Bell. Gerald Van Sickle, junior, offensive guard, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Gerald provided valuable depth to our team throughout the season. very dedicated player who improved his skills each and every week. I don't know that anyone improved from the beginning of the season to the end as much as Gerald did. He got valuable playing time in almost every game, and we look forward to a great offseason in preparation for next year because he will be an impact player on the 2020 team because he's an all-in guy who embraces the Ranger way. Gerald Van Sickle. Garrett Schaefer, senior, offensive tackle, 2-year letterman, academic all-district. He's a player that understands a game like a coach. Very good at recognizing fronts, blitzes, anticipating what the defense is going to do. Played an important role in almost every game this season at tackle and on the special teams. His loyalty to Ranger football is perhaps unmatched. All the time that he's been with us, and his attitude and effort will be very difficult for us to replace. But we'll miss him. Garrett Schaefer. Next is Kobe Suggs, senior, offensive tackle, 2-year letterman, academic all-district. Very versatile player, played some guard for us, played some tackle for us, flipped from right side to the left side sometimes. Provided valuable depth and always prepared to be his best when it counted. He battled injury late in the year, but continued to find ways to help our football team. We know, too, that he, too, will go on and be successful in whatever's next for him, and we wish him the best. Kobe Suggs. Next is Colton Thomason, freshman, offensive guard, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Colton was put in a position this year that put him on a fast track, being a freshman on the varsity. But it puts him on a fast track to be the excellent offensive lineman that he can become. And he immersed himself in the Ranger way and blended in well with his older teammates. Made vast improvement each and every week, both when he got his opportunities in the offensive line and on the special teams. And we look forward to seeing him continue to improve and expect, of course, big things from him the next 3 years. Colton Thomason. (2019) offensive line. Thank you, guys. Our next group to get introduced is our linebackers, Coach Westphal and Coach Jones. Work with them most closely, so they'll bring them up on the stage. Come on up, guys. These guys, of course, are a big part of our defense, and we'll introduce them now in numerical order as well. Our first to be introduced is Thomas Zoid, senior, linebacker. Tom's a 3-year letterman, academic all-district, second team academic all-state, and first team all-district on the field. Also voted as one of our captains. He's a returning starting linebacker, made a huge impact on the field, both on defense and in the special teams. He led the team with 102 tackles. 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 3 hurries, recovered 2 fumbles, had an interception. So statistically, obviously, you would have to judge him as a great player, but his biggest contribution probably came in the form of leadership. Worked hard to make everybody else on defense better, and if you want to have a great team, you got to have players like him, and we're going to miss him. Tom Zoid. Next, Americus Sanders, junior, linebacker, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Came to the varsity this year, his first-year varsity player as a backup linebacker, ended up becoming a starting linebacker. And when his time was called, he was ready. Had 45 tackles, 5 for loss, and 3 sacks. The team first guy who's willing to do whatever he needs to do to help our team win, whatever that role is. With an great offseason ahead of him, we're excited to see what he can do for us in the future. So we're glad to have him back. Americus Sanders. Next, Darlington Frash, junior, linebacker, 3-year letterman, He made a position change last spring to linebacker and was on his way to establishing himself as one of the premier players around when an injury cut his season short, as we know. He's a student of the game, always asking questions, always wanting to know what he can do better, always striving to be the best, not content to be good, but wanting to be the best. And before his injury, he had 20 tackles, 1 sack, 1 hurry. And we know he's working hard to rehabilitate that injury, and we're looking forward to a full year, a tremendous year, a great senior year, and we're glad to have him back. Darlington Fresh. Next is Diego Hamilton, sophomore, linebacker, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Diego moved in last spring, provided valuable depth for us at the linebacker position and also contributed on special teams. Extremely hard worker who's eager to improve. He made the most of his opportunities on the field, did have 5 tackles on the year, and his work ethic and his willingness to get better will have an even bigger impact next year, so we're glad that he's back. Diego Hamilton. Next is Malachi Lane, another sophomore, linebacker, 1-year letterman. He's academic all-district. He worked extremely hard in his first year as a varsity football player, and his commitment to improving allowed his role to increase as the year went. When his number was called, he was ready. He had 42 tackles on the year, one for a loss, and he recovered a fumble. With a strong offseason, he'll have a chance to be one of the best around next year, and we're excited about that and excited about him. Malachi Lane. Next is Toby West, junior, linebacker, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. He gave us some valuable depth at linebacker in his first year on the varsity. As it went on, he just kept working harder and improved a tremendous amount from August till mid-November when we finished. We're excited about his future. He got 7 tackles this year, both at linebacker and on the special teams, where he also contributed, and he'll be a big part of our success next year. We're glad to have him back. Toby West. Next is Cody Horn, junior, linebacker, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. He was asked to make a position change. Coming off of an injury, he moved from safety to linebacker, and his response was, in effect, whatever I need to do to get on the field and to help this football team. And it paid off for us as well as him as his role increased as the year went on, both at linebacker and on the special teams. He had 40 tackles on the year, and his instincts on the field and his ability just to play the game and understand the game will allow him to have a big role as a senior, so we're excited about that. Cody Horn. Next is Carson Padilla, senior, linebacker, 2-year letterman, 2nd team all-district. He worked hard from his junior year as a backup and a role player to becoming a starter as a senior and ended up being our team's 3rd leading tackler. He played a big role for us, not only on defense, but on the special team. His season was cut short because of injury, but not before he contributed 54 tackles. 3 of those were for losses and 4 hurries on the quarterback. He's a player who led by example, his work ethic and his effort, and set a great example for our younger players on how to get it done. So we will miss him. Carson Padilla. Next is Manny Casares, senior, linebacker, 1-year letterman. In his first year on varsity, Manny gave us depth at the linebacker position. Team first guy, he was concerned about the success of the team and whatever he could do to help that team win. Made the most of his opportunities, contributed 4 tackles on the year, and you need guys like him if you're going to have the kind of team that we have, and we sure appreciate everything he did for our program. Manny Casares. These are our 2019 linebackers. Thank you, guys. Going to merge up some groups here a little bit. We're going to have our running backs and our fullbacks and tight ends. Those groups work together a lot, so Coach Samora, who coaches our running backs, and Coach Shin, who coaches our tight ends and fullbacks. They're going to bring them up on stage, and we'll introduce this group next. Okay, guys, if you'll step forward as we talk about you. The first introduction, we're going to go start with our running backs. We'll start with Jacob Fortone, senior running back, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention academic all-state, honorable mention all-district on the field, and voted by his teammates as one of our captains. 2-year starter for us. His attention to detail meant that he never made mistakes. He was always going to do it just right. He was a great leader for us. He helped his teammates be better players. He was rushed for 929 yards and scored 10 touchdowns. He's one of the most coachable players we've had in our program, and it's been that way ever since he stepped foot on campus 4 years ago. We're blessed to have him on the field, blessed to have him in the locker room, and we wish him well as we move forward. Jacob Fortone. Next is Gabe Hoskins, junior, running back, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Gabe was an important piece of our team this year as he contributed on offense and in special teams. Very hard worker, worked hard to improve. He had some success, had some statistics on the field, but was always trying to get even better. And he ran for nearly 400 yards this year, averaged over 7 yards a carry, and ran for 4 touchdowns. He proved to be an explosive player, and we look for bigger and even better things in 2020 from him. Gabe Hoskins. Next is Braxton Bounds, senior, running back, 2-year letterman. He's a valuable backup for us this year, always ready to step in when called on, and he made the most of his opportunities. He scored 3 touchdowns on the year, averaged over 6 yards a carry. Very physical runner and blocker who made the opponent pay for the collision. His work ethic and commitment allowed him to improve each week all year long, and his contribution was valuable, and he will be missed. Braxton Bounds. Our last running back is Justin Avery, junior, running back, 1-year letterman, valuable contributor for us at the running back position. His development from the time he came in as a freshman to now has been phenomenal to watch, and he made solid contributions when called on. He averaged over 6 yards a carry, very shifty, very difficult to tackle, and a very good blocker, and we're eager to see him get even better this offseason and look forward to his contributions next year. Justin Avery. Next group is our tight ends and fullbacks. We'll start with Chandler Cole, senior, tight end, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, elite team, academic all-state, all-district honorable mention on the field. He played a key role in our success this season. Very positive attitude, very natural leader, great work ethic, and he contributed on the special teams as a deep snapper as well as offense as a tight end. He averaged 12 yards a catch, caught 2 touchdowns. He made every snap on punts and PATs. We're blessed to have him on the field and in our program, and he was fun to coach, and we're going to certainly miss him. Chandler Cole. Next is Tyler Dubose, junior, fullback, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Ty worked extremely hard in his first year as a varsity football player, and his work ethic and his commitment to improve allowed his role to increase. And on the year, he provided depth at the fullback position and also on our special teams. And with a good offseason, we were excited about his role next year and our team's success in 2020. Glad to have him back. Ty Dubose. Next is Luis Camacho, senior, fullback, 2-year letterman. He a very valuable role on a 2019 team after having a solid role last year at the fullback position and then started on multiple special teams. Always fun to coach, always got a smile on his face, Worked really hard to be successful at all the hats that we had him wear. And the success of our program was important to him, and it was important for us to have him in our program. And we're going to miss him moving forward. Luis Camacho. Next is Wyatt Hayden, Jr., tight end, punter, one-year letterman, academic all-district. He worked extremely hard in his first year up from the JV a year ago. Very smart player. He played both fullback and tight end, and of course, as I mentioned, was one of our punters. And with a good offseason, we feel like he'll be a big part of our next year's success, and we're very fortunate to have him back. Wyatt Hayden. Next is Nathan Schaefer, another junior, tight end, one-year letterman. Nathan moved from the defensive side of the ball to tight end during 2 days and learned the position very quickly. A very physical player who got better each and every week because he paid attention, and it was important to him to get better. And he's a student of the game, and he prides himself on doing it right. And we're looking forward to see him continue to grow, mature another year, and also get more familiar with the position. And we're glad that we'll have him back in 2020. Nathan Schaefer. Next is P.J. O'Toole, senior, fullback, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, and he's second-team academic all-state. Very valuable player who prepared each and every week to be his best, both on the field and off. Great on the field, big part in our locker room, and of course leading some of our projects that our teams do off the field. His accountability and his work ethic allowed him to make the most of his playing time opportunities, and he's the definition of what we want in a Ranger football player, and we'll miss him moving forward. P.J. O'Toole. Next, Austin Howell, senior, fullback, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, second-team all-district on the field. Very talented physical player, had a tremendous impact on our team. He started every game as a junior, but as a senior started every game again, but I think ramped it up and played it at an even higher level. He's a very smart player, very quiet leader, averaged 9 yards a catch out of the backfield, played a key role on some of our special teams as well, and he's going to be very difficult to replace. But our returning players have got a standard to live up to because of his contributions. Austin Howell. Next is William Walker, senior, tight end, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Very valuable backup player at tight end for us, prepared every week to be his best. Very accountable, had a great work ethic, made the most of his playing time opportunities, and when he was in there, we knew he'd get done right. He's tough-minded. He embraced his role on our team, and he embodies what we're looking for out of Ranger players, and we'll miss him next year. William Walker. Next is Will Ford, junior, tight end, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Very talented player, played a key role for us at tight end and on special teams. Continue to get better throughout the course of the season, learn from our older guys how to practice, how to prepare, how to play. And he was ready when his number was called. He's a very coachable player, takes pride in doing things the right way. And he's already exerting himself in the offseason to have a great 2020 season, and we're looking forward to that. Will Ford. Those are our running backs, our fullbacks, and our tight ends. Thank you, guys. Our next group that we're bringing up are our defensive tackles and our defensive ends, our front four, if you will. So Coach Risen and Coach Haug, who coach those guys, are bringing them up. And we'll introduce those guys. Okay, we're going to start with our defensive tackles. Again, we're kind of going up the roster. So we're going to start with Trey Witcher, senior, defensive tackle, 3-year letterman, 3-year starter, first team all-district on the field. He had 44 tackles on the season, which is a lot when you got your hand on the ground and you're playing inside. And 13 of those tackles were for losses. He had 4.5 sacks on the year and 3 hurries. And he's been one of the premier players in the area, not just in 2019, but 17 and 18 as well. And he's been a leader of this football team as well as an effective player for 3 years. Anchor of our defensive front and the defensive unit as a whole. And his contributions to Ranger football are greatly appreciated, and he'll be very difficult to replace. But we're thankful for the time that we had him. Trey Witcher. Next is James Dearduff, senior, defensive tackle, 2-year letterman, academic all-district. James completed this season with 7 tackles and 1 for loss. But more important was his effort on the field and his attitude that made him a solid player in the rotation on the defensive front. Made him a valuable part of our defense. He also contributed on several special teams. Those are unsung roles, but important roles, and James filled them and did them well. We're proud to have had him on our team for 2 years, and we will miss him. James Dearduff. Jacob O'Toole, junior, defensive tackle, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. James was asked to make a position change, like a lot of our guys are. Time they come through our program, there's no telling where they're going to end up. But made a position change with him over the summer, and he brought a little depth and athleticism to the D front. He's a hard worker, and being just a junior, obviously has the offseason to continue to improve. We look forward to having him back in 2020. Jacob O'Toole. Next is Joel Herring, another junior, defensive tackle, 1-year letterman. He's a talented player, a versatile player. Had some nagging injuries that kind of stifled his progress at times throughout the year, but he was able to bounce back and make an impact for us, which allowed him to improve and us to improve, and that's what our program is all about. So we're glad he's back with us and look forward to the off-season, the spring, the summer, and of course next fall. Glad to have him here. Joel Herring. Next is Josh Ramos, junior, defensive tackle, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. He's a very valuable member of our D front. His attitude and his energy is infectious. He plays extremely hard, and he gets others to feed off of that. And that creates a practice environment that's conducive to our team improving. And I don't know if he knows he does that or not, but he does. And with continued improvement throughout the offseason, we look forward to having him back next year. Josh Ramos. Luke Seminaro, junior, defensive tackle, academic all-district, and honorable mention all-district on the field. Luke had 16 tackles on the year. 4 of those were tackles for loss. It's his 2nd year to be on the varsity. Also had 1 sack, and he had 2 quarterback hurries. Very athletic defensive lineman, great work ethic, great motor, as coaches like to say. Very positive attitude. This allowed him to improve game by game. He was a much better player at the end than he was at the beginning, and he was a good player early on as well. So we look forward to him making that same type of progress this spring, and glad to have him back in 2020. Luke Seminaro. We will move to our defensive ends now. Our first is Connor Hambrick, senior, defensive end, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention academic all-state, and honorable mention all-district on the field itself. And played varsity last year as a linebacker, and we asked him to move to defensive end. He's so versatile, we felt like that'd be a good move for our team, and his response was what I thought it would be. Okay, coach. If that's what we need to do. And ended up being a good move for us and a good move for him. He had 43 tackles on the year, 5 tackles for loss. He had 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries. He recovered a fumble. He caused a fumble. Also played a big role for us on the special team. So he made an impact with a position change. And he used his knowledge of the game to put himself in position to be an important part of our team. And you've got to have guys like him to compete in this league, and we're fortunate to have had him. Connor Hambrick. Next is Garrett Brooks, a junior, defensive end, and also a punter. 2-year letterman, second year to letter as a junior. Academic All-District, he was second team All-District on the field. Another position change guy, made the change, a very valuable member of our offense as a sophomore, moved over to defense, never played defensive end. Much like Connor, okay, that's what we got to do. And he never flinched, and had 23 tackles, 6 tackles for loss. He had 5 sacks, 8 quarterback hurries, and then, of course, as a punter, he averaged 40 and a half, almost 41 yards per punt, the best we've had in about 15 years. So a very versatile player who can and will continue to fill many roles for us. He'll be a big part of our success next year, so we're glad that he's back. Garrett Brooks. Next is Juan Barrera Fry, senior, defensive end, 1-year letterman, academic All-District. He found ways to contribute, okay, both in games and in practice, on scout teams, on special teams, had a high energy level, and he played extremely hard and made players around him better. And that's about as good a compliment as you can give a player. Gave us an example of what a team guy should be. And a great teammate, put the team first. We'll miss having him around, but we're thankful that for the time that we had him. Juan Barrera Fry. Next is Jack Berry, senior, defensive end, 1-year letterman, academic All-District. Jack's a great young man who did everything we asked him to do. He had 3 tackles on the year for the Rangers, helped us get better by working defensive end, at times even a scout team player. Another fine example of the type of players that we have at Smithson Valley, the type you win with. And he's a fine young guy, and we will miss him, but we're thankful for the time that he was here. Jack Berry. Next is Joe Van Pelt, defensive end, first year to letter, academic All-District. He contributed both at defensive end and also on several of our special teams in multiple roles there. He had 5 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 quarterback hurry. Did some really fine things for us, as I said, in our special teams, things that don't show up in statistics. He's a program guy, and I mean that in the best way possible. Shows up every day, ready to work and do what it takes to help our team in whatever role that we give him. And his roles are probably going to continue to change because we know that whatever we ask him to do, it's going to get done. It's going to get done right. We're glad we have him for another year. Joe Van Pelt. Next, Andy Carrion, senior, defensive end, 1-year to letterman, academic All-District, second team academic All-State. Andy provided depth for us both at defensive end and in the kicking game. On the field, he had 3 tackles, had 1 quarterback hurry, had 1 tackle for a loss. He's a very team-oriented guy, works hard, and is able and willing to do anything that we ask him to do. And he's a pleasure to work with and a great teammate. And we're going to miss having him here. Andy Carrion. Our last defensive end is Trey Moore, junior, defensive end, 2-year, second year to letter, academic All-District, second team All-District on the field, had 10 solo tackles and 39 total tackles, had 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries, deflected 3 passes, caused 4 fumbles, recovered 3 fumbles, blocked 1 punt, and as you saw on the highlight deal, swiped the ball and ran 80 the other way like to wore him out. So, but everybody had to have a plan to account for this young man. And the good thing for Smithson Valley is they better have a plan again next year because he's going to come back. A very smart player, uses great technique to put himself in a position to make plays. And he's a great player who plays hard. And that's not, those two don't always go together. And we look forward to seeing him grow into an even more dominant player in 2020. Trey Moore. Defensive tackles and defensive ends. Thank you, guys. Okay, we've got 2 more groups here. This is our wide receivers and our quarterbacks And our kickers are going to get introduced with them. These groups work together a lot, so it's logical that we introduce them together. We're going to start with our wide receivers. And I guess we'll call him a wide receiver because we're going to start with Greg Eggleston, senior, wide receiver, running back, Swiss Army knife, a little bit of, can do whatever we ask him to do. Third year to letter, academic all-district, second team all-district on the field. He made the jump back over from defense to offense last spring, and quite frankly, it was a bit of an experiment. Not all experiments worked. This one worked. This one worked. Every time he touched the ball, there's a chance he'd go the distance. He's truly gifted on the field, but as I said earlier, sometimes good players aren't necessarily unselfish players, aren't necessarily players who practice and play hard all the time, or aren't necessarily special teammates. Greg was all those things as well. He cared more about winning than individual accolades. But he accounted for almost 1,800 total yards and 15 touchdowns, both catching the ball and running the ball. Been invited to play in the San Antonio All-Star game, and of course, it looks like he'll have an opportunity to play at the next level. But we're excited to see what the future holds. But tonight we'll celebrate his contributions this year, and we're very appreciative of him. Greg Eggleston. Our next is Eric Tietzman, senior, wide receiver, 2-year letterman, academic all-district. He was also academic all-state honorable mention. Eric is a guy who really embodies the characteristics of a Ranger football player. Nobody was going to outwork him. He was like an extension of a coach on the field. He developed into an excellent pass catcher in his second year on the varsity. Had 11 catches for 150 yards and 1 touchdown. Did a great job with his perimeter blocking that allowed our backs to go the distance some as well. That's not something that shows up in the stat sheet, but Eric was really good at it. We were blessed to have had him, and we'll miss him next year. Eric Tietzman. Next is Noah Flores, junior, wide receiver, came over from defensive back, split his time this year between those two positions. First year to letter, academic all-district. A very explosive, versatile player. As I said, we had him wear several hats this year. He was a gifted cornerback, converted to wide receiver the last 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season. His work ethic and his desire allowed him to move back to offense without really missing a beat, and had finished with about 68 yards in 3 games of offense. He will be an impact player. You'll hear a lot about him in 2020 season. Noah Flores. Next is A.J. Nickens, sophomore, wide receiver, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. A.J. moved to Smithson Valley over the summer and immediately fit in with the team. They embraced him, he embraced them, and he's a very hard-working, team-oriented player. Played a big an important backup role this year. Got great hands and improved as the season progressed. And, of course, we've got him for 2 more seasons. So, we're excited to see where that progress will end up. And we look forward to having him back. A.J. Nickens. Next, Maverick Freeland, junior, wide receiver, 1-year letterman. Maverick played several roles for us as the season, rotating in at 2, 3 different wide receiver spots. He stepped in and provided some crucial catches for us this year, some explosive plays, and then also some crucial third down catches that kept the drive alive. Improved as a blocker as the year went on, had 9 catches for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns on the year. And, of course, the most important thing is he's just a junior, and he's got the spring and the summer and next fall, and we look forward to having him back. Maverick Freeland. Next, Cooper Douglas, junior, wide receiver, 1-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention all-district on the field. Extremely hard-working player. Played X for us, played Y for us, played Z for us. He understands the ins and outs of the game, and excellent blocker, and proved to be an explosive receiver. Had 11 catches for 252 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaged 23 yards per catch. And we're excited to have Cooper back for another season. Look forward to what he does in 2020. Cooper Douglas. Next is Camden Egley, sophomore, wide receiver, made the move back to defense late in the year, so like Noah, saw time on both sides of the ball. 1-year letterman, academic all-district, provided valuable depth to our team this year at receiver, and then as I said, over at corner, averaged about 5 yards a touch on offense, and very versatile player. Could end up a lot of places. Don't know exactly where he'll end up, but he's going to end up somewhere. And got 2 more years, and we're excited to have him back. Camden Egley. Next is Walker Ortegon, senior, wide receiver, 1-year letterman. Walker put in a lot of work to get his opportunity to be a varsity football player. Very hard worker, and he had a passion for the game, and unfortunately an injury cut his season short, as it sometimes happened. But he stayed committed to our team, was a great teammate, helped us finish out the year, and we're sure going to miss having him around. Walker Ortegon. Next, Ryan Hakes, junior, wide receiver, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Ryan was a pivotal backup for us this year, came every day ready to work, practiced hard, studied the game, and made improvements, was valuable to our team's success. Had averaged 7 yards a catch on a few catches this year, and did a good job blocking. And again, he has an off season in the spring, and we look forward to having him back next year. Ryan Hakes. Our last wide receiver is Steele Worsham, junior, receiver, 1-year letterman, academic all-district, worked extremely hard in his first year as a varsity player, very committed to our team and his teammates. That's what makes him and others like him special. We're lucky to have him in the program. Looking forward to having him back for his senior season. Steele Worsham. Introduce our quarterbacks now. We have 3. First is Will Strachan, junior, quarterback, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. He gained some valuable experience in his first year as a varsity player, and he improved greatly from the time 2 days began to the end of the season. And he made the most of his playing time opportunities, completed 5 out of 6 passes, and learned more than anything, learned what it was like to prepare and to play at this level. He has a good feel for the game, and we're lucky to have him back for another year. Will Strachan. Next is Jacob Cernohouse, junior, a quarterback, first year to letterman. Transitioned from being on the JV a year ago to earning a varsity letter as a junior. Made good strides as the year went on, like Will. It's a different world moving from Thursday night to Friday, and he understands that like everyone does. But continued to improve this offseason, looking forward to his senior year. We're glad that he'll be back in 2020. Jacob Cernohouse. Next is Luke Gombert, senior, quarterback, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention academic all-state, and honorable mention all-district on the field. As a first-year starter in a high-profile program, Luke proved himself up to the challenge. Had nearly 1,300 yards passing for 11 touchdowns, provided great leadership, not just for our offensive unit, but for our team as a whole. And he has a great passion for this game, and that was very evident in his work ethic and his preparation for his senior year. And those things, coupled with his ability, made him a big part of our run in 2019. We're blessed to have him, and we'll miss him. Luke Gombert. And lastly, Colby Wright, senior. Colby's one of our kickers, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. He's on the elite team, on the academic all-state team. That's his. If you don't know what that means, that's as high as it goes. And so we're very fortunate to have 2 of those. He's very valuable to our team as one of our kickers, 2 kickers that we're blessed to have. He made 5 out of 5 on his extra points, along with 1 field goal. And we ask our kickers to wear a lot of hats other than kicking, and they do a lot of things for us in practice, and he's very eager and attentive to detail on that. But not exactly sure what Colby's going to do later in life, but I'm real sure that he's going to be good at it. And we're going to miss him. Colby Wright. wide receivers, quarterbacks, and kickers. Thank you, guys. Okay, our last group to be introduced are our defensive backs. That encompasses both our safeties and our cornerbacks. So we're going to start with our safeties and work right on through the group. We'll start with our safeties. Our first is Mason Livingston, senior, free safety, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, second team academic all-state, first team all-district on the field. Also voted as one of the team captains. Very talented football player who makes the most of his ability. Put his hard hat on every day and went to work. And he had a lot of jobs to get done. Along with playing free safety, he returned punts, he blocked kicks, he covered on punts, he covered on kickoffs. And his ability at all those roles that we gave him to fill was one of the reasons we were so successful. On the season, he made 80 tackles, defended several passes, intercepting 2 of those, knocking a few others away. He also blocked a kick. He was a pleasure to coach. He was a pleasure to be around. We'll miss having him around. Mason Livingston. Next is Jackson Sinney, senior, strong safety, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, honorable mention academic all-state, honorable mention all-district on the field. It's a tremendous job for us in his second year as a starter for us at strong safety. Very focused, very serious, attentive to detail young man, always got us into the right coverages. And he came to work every day to get better and help us win. And along with playing strong safety, he was a big part of our special teams, making contributions there as well. On the year, he had 52 tackles, many passes defended, and he caused 1 fumble. And he's as fine a young man as you'll be around, and we'll miss having him here. Jackson Sinney. Next, Blake Bowman, junior, free safety, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Blake's a hard worker, and he tends to make others around him work hard as well. And he stepped in this year as a junior and made a big impact on our team. He's great at getting the job done. He's great getting us into the right coverage, and then great at making plays when the time came. Also on several special teams. Had 25 tackles on the year, 1 interception, and he caused 1 fumble. We look forward to seeing what he can do next year. I'm glad to have him back in 2020. Blake Bowman. Next is Caleb Guevara, senior, strong safety, 2-year letterman. He's a great young man, did everything we asked him to do, filled every role we asked him to fill, and he got better every day, had a great work ethic and a desire to help the team. He's an example of what we want of our Smithson Valley players. He helped us at safety, helped us on special teams, had 6 tackles on the year. It was good having him here, and we're going to miss him. Caleb Guevara. Next is Jacob Perez, senior, strong safety, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, second team academic all-state. Jacob, a year ago, had a season-ending knee injury, didn't get to finish his junior year. Never complained, threw himself into rehab, and I'm not just going to come back. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to find a way to help his team win. He was our nickel back. And he also, when he wasn't playing strong safety, of course, he was on several of our special teams. And had 26 tackles on the year, several passes defended, and had 1 hit on the quarterback. Great young man, great work ethic, great story on how to bounce back. And we're going to miss having him in the Ranger football program. Jacob Perez. Our last safety is Hunter LaCour, senior, strong safety, 2-year letterman, academic all-district. Hunter's another guy, made a position change, hopped over from offense over to safety, very hard worker, and stepped in and made an impact for us. On the field at safety and some of our special teams, he's in on 9 tackles on the year. We enjoyed having him around and coaching him while in our program. He's done a great job for Ranger football, and we'll miss having him. Hunter LaCour. Next, we'll transition to our cornerbacks. The first is Jalen Nutt, junior, cornerback, second year to letter, academic all-district, honorable mention all-district on the field, very versatile, very talented player, but gets the most out of his ability. Very hard worker, fun to coach. He enjoys being here, and we enjoy having him here. And played on multiple special teams, and on the year, he had 46 tackles. 14 of those were solos. 3 of them were for loss, and he broke up 7 passes. And returned kickoffs for us, returned punts for us. And he's got a bright future ahead of him, and we're very fortunate to have him back next year. Jalen Nutt. Our next corner, Cullen Betsy, senior, cornerback, 2-year letterman, academic all-district, second team academic all-state, honorable mention all-district on the field. He seemed to enjoy being here, and I know we enjoyed having him here. It's a pleasure to be around, watching him grow into the type of player that he became. He did everything we asked him to do, both on defense and on special teams. Had 32 total tackles this year. 11 of those were solos. He broke up 3 passes playing corner. I think he was among the area leaders in San Antonio with 6 interceptions. But it was an honor to be around him, and he made our team better, and we'll miss him. Cullen Betsy. Next is Tyler Young, junior, cornerback, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Another great young man who did everything we've asked him to do, and got better each day at corner. He's a fine young man here at Smithson Valley. We've asked him to wear several hats, probably ask him to wear some more hats as we move forward, but we're excited about having him back in our offseason and our spring. Look forward to having him back next year. Tyler Young. Next is Tate Maples, junior, cornerback, 1-year letterman, academic all-district. Tate's another great team player who added depth for us at cornerback, also on some special teams, played some roles there. Works very hard, has ability. Therefore, when you add those 2 things together, you get a guy that improves a great deal throughout the course of the year. He embraced our role. He helped us form the winning culture that we have. And he, too, will get a great opportunity in 2020, so we're glad that he's back. Tate Maples. So our safeties and cornerbacks. Thank you, guys. You know, it's always hard for a team as a head coach and as an assistant coach to let teams go. You know, your season always ends abruptly. You don't see it coming, and then, you know, if you don't win in the playoffs, or whenever that is, it's over quick, and you don't really ever know what to say to them. But this was a good group. This was as good, as I said earlier, maybe as good a group as we've had. Just didn't have any drama. You know, we just showed up every morning at 6:30, and we went to work. And you know, they got along well. They enjoyed being around each other, and we certainly enjoyed having them here. But they're very special. It's a great group of young men, and you know, I think as we get older, we always grumble about the youth of America. You know, they don't do it like we used to do it, or what's the matter with these kids, or whatever. I tell you, as we get older and they start kind of moving us off to the side, this country will be just fine, as long as some of those guys are in charge. So I look forward to that. Hopefully they won't push me too far to the side. But anyway, we're proud of this group. And of course, we're proud of the group that's coming back to blend in with those teams we introduced early, and we look forward to our 2020 season. But I will ask for one more round of applause for our 2019 Smithson Valley Rangers. We have a few presentations to make as we wrap up the evening. You know, each year as our season ends, we ask our players to vote on captains. That is, they select the individuals who, in their opinion, best reflect leadership on and off the field and inspire our team to have the kind of season that they did. This was a year where, man, you could have thrown all 35 of those seniors in a hat and pulled you out a few, and you wouldn't have had a bad choice. But at this time, I'll present these 4 young men to me, and they'll join me on the stage, and they'll help me make some presentations. But our captains for this year are Tom Zoid, Taylor Brooks, Mason Livingston, and Jacob Portone. This is always a time I get a little nervous because I turn the mic over to them. So, but anyway, congratulations to you. It's a tremendous honor to have bestowed on you, one that you'll remember long after how well you played, or how many minutes you played, or what play you made on the field. It's something your teammates voted you on, so I congratulate you for that, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Coach. All 4 of us would have something to say, so I'll start first. First, we want to thank our community and parents who have devoted their time to stripe helmets, prepare us food, and have supported us these past few years. You all have truly made Ranger football a fun and memorable experience. We would also like to thank the coaches on a great season and all the values that y'all have taught us, the class, discipline, effort, and tradition, all prized values that we'll carry on with us in our daily lives. And I'd like to turn the mic over to Taylor Brooks.
This is the 7th Ranger football banquet I've attended, and for the past 7 years, I've had the pleasure of listening to role models and great teammates give this same speech. However, for whatever reason, coaches, players, and teammates alike, no one could ever quite get the description of the feeling of being a Ranger quite right. While considering why no one could get it right, I arrived at this. If you weren't a part of it, you just don't get it. It's hard to define what makes Smithson Valley unique and special on paper. However, all I know is that when you're in that team room during boot camp and you add it up and realize we got perfect day as everyone goes crazy, there's a certain electric energy that you feel as you realize you bought into carrying on the tradition of the Rangers. And that same energy carries us through the drudgery of endless workouts throughout the off-season, two-a-days, and tack, knowing that our time will come when we don the white and blue for the last time. That there will be no white paint in our history books, and must not just carry on, but build upon that ideal and take it even further. That we do so in order to respect those who came before us and leave something meaningful for those who are next. This is what makes the Ranger tradition unique and special.
By definition, brotherhood is defined as a community of people linked by a common interest. In Ranger football, however, brotherhood is that and so much more. There's nothing quite like how close you are with the guys who surround you. The week after the season is over, the next one has begun, and it's a new group of guys you're not familiar with. You spend every day with those guys twice a day for the next couple of months, which might not make sense yet. Then boot camp hits, and you truly learn what it means to be a Ranger and a brother. Jumping rope, doing arm curls, and rolling around on a mat might not seem like it makes a team, but that is truly where you learn what brotherhood is. Giving nonstop, all-out effort, screaming for your teammates to get them motivated to keep on going, and being accountable for your mistakes is what you get out of boot camp. When you put your teammates before you and care more about the common goal than yourself, that is when brotherhood is truly achieved. Although you might not think you can make it through, it's not about you. It's about the team and the common goal you are trying to achieve. After boot camp, you are no longer a bunch of individuals trying to play football. You are a band of brothers ready to go to war no matter what stands in your way. The brothers you gain from playing Ranger football are irreplaceable and will last a lifetime. I'm glad I got to play with all y'all and play with all my brothers on my side. It's time for the next generation to fulfill their destinies to play Ranger football.
Hello, my name is Jacob Fortone, and this goes out to my junior, sophomore, and freshman teammates and the next generation of Ranger football players who are all happening to sit in the crowd right now. I remember it like it was just yesterday. I was in youth football playing for the Spring Branch Rangers, looking up to the SV greats, such as Josh Atkins and Ben Zoy, dreaming of the day that I can put on my navy blue jersey and step out onto Ranger Stadium to go carry on the winning tradition here at SV. I remember putting on my black Under Armour cleats and white crew socks to play my first freshman football game with kids who either went to the same middle school as me and even some who I didn't know at all, knowing that in just 2 more years, I would finally get a chance to play under the lights on Friday nights and fulfill my dream of being a Smithson Valley Ranger football player. Ranger football has touched so many of our lives, including mine, in extraordinary ways, and trust me, it goes by faster than you think. Each one of you will be a senior one day and be faced with having to say goodbye as you play your final home game at Ranger Stadium, but you won't have to say goodbye to the Ranger way of having class, discipline, effort, and tradition, which cannot be taken away from you because they have been ingrained inside of you since you were in middle school. To all the future Rangers, don't take anything for granted, and honor, preserve, and cherish each moment and the traditions that have been passed down from one Ranger to the next. Wear that blue and white with pride. We are all blessed to have great leaders coaching us. Listen to what they have to say, and always remember the Ranger way. Thank you. That's Coach Hill.
Thank you, guys. Outstanding. I'm going to ask these guys to stay up here with me on stage as we close the evening with a few presentations. At this time, I'd like to ask the Camacho family, the O'Toole family, the Zoig family, if they're here, to make your way up on the stage. We've got some presentations to make to you. Yeah, come on up. To the Zoig family and the O'Toole family, and as a token of our appreciation for the outstanding job you've done as our team reps, we'd like to present you with these 2019 helmets for you to keep and commemorate. Thank you. And to the Camacho family, for your unselfish act of opening your home to our team for team dinners throughout the season, we too would like to present you with a 2019 Ranger helmet. Thank you so much. Thanks for helping us make this program what it is. I'll ask the captains, like I said, to remain with me on stage for our final presentation tonight. I say this every year, but it bears repeating because, you know, new parents, new players, a new crew kind of rolling in every year. But Ranger football only gives one individual award to a player. We don't do MVPs. We don't do Fighting Heart Award. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but we try to embody team, and so we're not really out to trump somebody's individual accomplishments a great deal. The award that we give, though, is the Jim Worthy Award. Brandy Norton, who's the sister of Jim Worthy, who the award is named after, is here tonight to help us make the presentation. We are honored by her presence and her willingness to help bring to light the memory of her late brother. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Brandy and let you do the honors.
Good evening, Rangers. Again, my name is Brandy Norton. I am Smithson Valley class of 1993. Continuing the tradition, our daughter, Grace, will be a Ranger class of 2023. I'm also here with my husband this evening, class of 1993 as well. I'm honored to be here this evening to present the Jim Worthy Memorial Award. As Coach Hill said, Jim was my brother, class of 1985. 1 week before the beginning of his senior year, Jim was tragically killed due to a freak accident doing some simple hitting and tackle drills on the football field. An average of 3 deaths per year happen in the United States due to a traumatic brain injury on the football field. 35 years ago, it happened right here at Smithson Valley. Jim perished on the very field that many of you played on not so long ago at what is now the Smithson Valley Middle School campus, and thus his number 75 was retired, and this award was founded in his memory. While it's been 35 years since his untimely death, my family continues to celebrate the great game of football. We're here at Ranger Stadium every Friday night to celebrate those mighty Rangers. However, when a player goes down, as Jim's family, we say an extra prayer for you, the players, but also for you, his family, because we truly know the worst that can happen. In fact, our dad attended the very practice that took Jim's life. To present his memorial award, I want to convey that this award is in memory of his life, not his death. My brother was truly your all-American boy next door, the son every parent is proud to have, the brother every little sister can look up to, and the friend every student could lean on, and most importantly, the player every coach looked forward to leading the team. Jim was a great student. In fact, for years after his death, we continued to receive recruitment letters from colleges all over the country, and we were just a little 2A school back then. Jim strived to be a better athlete. Long before the game of CrossFit, during the off-season, you would see Jim regularly running around the football field, dragging a tire behind him filled with concrete. He would also make divots in our backyard, practicing shot put over and over, but not with a regulation 12-pound shot put, a 16-pound shot put. He wanted to be better. He wanted to be better for himself, but for his team. But to me, the most important part of his character is a story that I will continue to tell every single year, so that those who were not here in previous years know, and those who have heard this story before are reminded of the kind of gentleman he was and who you are representing as the recipient of this award. This story best represents that Jim was a man of compassion. A fellow student and football player's family moved to another state, but this student insisted on staying at Smithson Valley because he knew where his family was going was not going to give the future that he wanted. Jim learned that this student was homeless, hungry because the only meals he ate were in the cafeteria. The only showers that he took were in the locker room because he was alone living in a tent. When Jim found this out, he worked tirelessly to find a family friend to bring that student into their home so he could stay there to finish his senior year at Smithson Valley. I am so proud to say that that very student went on to join and retire with over 20 years of service to the U.S. Air Force. To this day, that student is a dear family friend who attributes his success to my brother Jim. In celebration of his life and who he was, not only as a player, but also as a leader on and off the field, the coaching staff retired his number 75, and established the Jim Worthy Memorial Award. The award annually goes to a senior football player who best meets the following criteria. You have a great attitude and character. You were always dependable and honest. You maximize your talent to the fullest. You are extremely loyal and dedicated to the Ranger program. You play with compassion, class, and fanatical effort. Don't think of this as like the Heisman Trophy. This is more like your Walter Payton Man of the Year award. When you play with the caliber of competition that you had this year, you will have a number of players who fit the criterion just mentioned. Know that this award is discussed and voted on by the very coaching staff that sees your dedication and your character day in and day out, on and off the field. This year's winner, as selected by your coaches, was a player who loves the game of football. He was indeed a talented player, but his playing ability was not his best quality. Rather, he is best known for his love of the game, his selfless nature, his commitment to the Ranger way, to his coaches, and to his fellow teammates for his hustle, his tenacity, his leadership, and his drive. They helped define your team. For that commitment, tonight, we honor this year's 1999, where am I? 2019 Jim Worthy Memorial Award winner, Jacob Fortone.
On the platform.
Great job. Great job. Congratulations, Jacob, and thank you, Brandy, for doing that and bringing to light the memory of your brother. I'd like to thank, as we close tonight, thank all who made this night possible. It's a special night for a special group of young men, and I'd like to thank once again the parents for entrusting your sons to us for a 5-month period where they spend more time with us than they do you. I don't know if that's a good thing to say, but it's the truth. And but one last time, I salute our players. A lot of you got some individual accolades, and deservedly so, but really more than that is about this team and this journey and this experience. And we look forward to a great 2020 season. Expectations are high, but when those expectations are met, it'll be in part because of the standard set by the 2019 Smithson Valley Rangers. So thank you all for coming again tonight and making this memorable. Have a safe trip home and good night. All right, Jacob, you want to get some pictures up here?